You've probably heard the story of the goose and the golden egg before. It's one of the oldest tales we have. But you know what? Its warning about human nature feels more powerful today than ever. So let's dive into it. It's a pretty intense feeling, isn't it? That urge to get everything you want and to get it right now. But what really happens when that desire completely takes over? To really get a handle on this destructive urge, we have to start with the classic fable itself. It's a simple story, but it has this really profound warning about where that path ultimately leads. Okay, so what's really wild here is just how quickly it all falls apart. Think about it. It starts with this unbelievable gift, a steady, daily fortune, a golden egg every single day. But then impatience creeps in. That burning desire for more, faster now starts to take root. They get this idea in their heads that the source of the gold must be a giant lump sum just waiting inside the goose. And in one greedy moment, they destroy the very thing that was making them prosperous. They end up with absolutely nothing. They lose their future wealth, sure, but they also lose that daily gift. So yeah, this isn't just some fairy tale, right? It's a perfect picture of a really powerful human impulse, greed. And according to our source material, this is not a new problem. In fact, it's one of the oldest in the book. The way the source frames it, this whole conflict began way, way back in the Garden of Eden. You have a clear command, something given for protection and guidance. But then a second voice enters the scene, a temptation that whispers this alluring promise of a shortcut to power, a way to become like God yourself. And that choice, the choice to listen to that voice, driven by the desire for what was forbidden, is presented as the very origin of greed's destructive power in the human story. And this right here really gets to the heart of that internal tug of war, you know? On one side, you have a voice that offers life, a life built on trust and guidance. But on the other, you've got a voice whispering these false promises, playing on our most self-centered desires. The argument here is that greed is simply the act of choosing to attune our ears to that second voice. And wow, this verse from the book of James, it doesn't pull any punches. It lays out the whole progression so clearly. Greed isn't just a static feeling. It's like a seed. Once you plant it and let it grow, it inevitably gives birth to sin. And the final destination on that path, the source material says, is destruction and death. It's a predictable and pretty tragic journey. So let's be super clear about this. Greed isn't just some minor character flaw. The source defines it as a form of idol worship, basically putting what you want at the very center of your life instead of God. It's the thing that knocks our lives completely off the rails, chokes out any spiritual growth, and, just like we saw with the goose, it ultimately leads to total ruin. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? How do we fight back? Well, the source proposes a really powerful antidote to the poison of greed: choosing a life of contentment. Now, the word for this is chajok, which is Korean for contentment. But this is way deeper than just being happy with what you have. It describes this state of peace that's founded on God's grace, and it's completely independent of your circumstances, whether you're rich or poor, on top of the world or struggling. It is the absolute polar opposite of the restless, anxious striving that comes with greed. And the outcome? Well, it's night and day. While greed leads to chaos and destruction, a life built on contentment leads to peace and rest. It's finally getting off that frantic treadmill. This all sounds amazing, right? Peace and rest. Who wouldn't want that? But how do you actually get there? Well, what's interesting is that the source suggests it's not something you're born with. It's actually a secret that has to be learned. And this is where the Apostle Paul's words are so powerful. Did you catch that key phrase? He says it twice. I have learned. This wasn't natural for him. He had to learn the secret through all of his experiences in times of abundance and in times of need. It's an active skill, something you develop. And for him, it was all through reliance on a higher power. So how do you learn it? Well, it's a process. It begins with a big spiritual shift, entrusting yourself to the spirit of truth. And that means making a conscious choice to stop chasing after every impulsive, self-serving desire. Instead, you work to align your life with God's will, and you just focus on faithfully doing the work you've been given, right here and right now. You know, this idea isn't new at all. Even Aristotle was talking about this centuries ago. Contentment, just like any kind of excellence, isn't something you do once. It's a habit you build through deliberate daily practice until it just becomes a part of who you are, your default setting. All right, this next part is maybe the most important distinction we're going to make today, because being content doesn't mean you give up on the future. Not at all. It's about understanding the huge difference between a healthy dream and a destructive greed. And this is huge. Contentment is not complacency. They might look similar from a distance, but they are worlds apart. Complacency means you're just stuck. You've lost the will to grow or move forward. It's really a form of laziness. Contentment, though, is dynamic. It means you're deeply grateful for today while you're still actively and hopefully working toward a better tomorrow. And that brings us right to the fundamental choice that we all face. A dream. It builds a bridge from today to your future. It gives today meaning. Greed does the exact opposite. It demands everything right now, and in doing that, it burns the bridge to the future. It sacrifices tomorrow for a little satisfaction today. To put it as simply as possible, a dream is life-giving. It inspires you, it motivates you. Greed is a parasite. It just takes and consumes until there's nothing left. So it all comes back to this question, for you and for me. Are you going to gratefully receive the daily golden eggs that life offers, building a rich future one day at a time? Or is your heart set on cutting open the goose, risking it all for that promise of getting everything right now?